Good day, good day, good day, and welcome to the Impact Investing Show with your host, Samuel ICanWin. Guys, today's show, episode 73. Oh my gosh, we're here again. I am looking forward to today's show for a number of reasons. One of the biggest reasons I'm actually looking forward to today's show is because straight after today's show, we have a live, yes, I said it live, L-I-V-E, masterclass taking place where I'm going to be teaching people, myself and Mrs. ICanWin are going to be teaching people about the keys to generating cash flow. So if you want to get involved in that, link in the description, or you can just take the link right now. That's impactproperties.co.uk/masterclass. Hope you're ready to go for that. I'm looking forward to that because it's always nice to end up the show with another little show kind of like right after the show. So guys, for those of you who don't know, that's what we're doing straight after today's show. 9 p.m. today, we are going to be doing a live masterclass. Now, for those of you who are with me right now, it is episode 73. We've made our way here. 73 episodes back to back to back. Let me know in the chat if you are rocking with me. Let me see something in the chat. Let me see, hey Samuel, hi Samuel. Let me see a hi in the chat if you are rocking with me and if you are ready to go. For episode 73, we got quite a lot to get through. I'm looking forward to today's show. I'm telling you, today's show is going to be fire as we talk about, do you actually invest the wrong way in property? Now, for some people, they need this episode, all right? If you're starting out on your property journey, you're probably one of those people who certainly, definitely, especially need this episode. But there's also a group of people that tune into this show who are more experienced investors. And those people, I think, also probably need this show, maybe even a little bit more than other people. And the reason is because if you've been invested in property for some time, if you've already started your investment journey, you need to know whether you've even been doing the right thing. You need to know whether you should keep on the track that you have been on. You need to know whether this is exactly what you signed up for. So for those of you who are tuning in, let me know in the chat if you've been here before. Let me see the BHB in the chat. For those of you who have been here before, let me know that you're tuning in and you've been here before. And for those of you who are brand new to the channel, feel free to write the word new in the chat. This is the place where you get creative property investing on demand. You heard me say it, on demand. So if you have not been to an environment where you can get creative property investing on demand before, well, welcome home, because this is the place where you need to be. Now, we've got a lot of exciting things to go through on today's episode. I'm extremely looking forward to today's episode. It's episode 73. And guys, I just want you guys to know, you don't get to episode 73 by accident. Okay, and most of you know that already. You can't get 73 episodes deep, 73 episodes in by accident. So we have been sharing value upon value, week in and week out, to the community, helping the community move forward and move further faster in their property investing journey. So if you're someone who's brand new, we want to help you. We want to support you to be able to do the same thing, to be able to move further faster in your property investing journey. And the way we do that is quite simple. It's quite simple, and it's simply by sharing with you guys valuable insights around creative property investing to support you and to help you to see how you can move forward in your property journey. Now, if there's anyone who's tuned in right now already, who's got value over the 73 or 72 episodes that we've had previously, let me see the word value in the chat. We had a prize winner 2 weeks ago, Valerie, who won the Monopoly deal game, which we sent out. I believe if Valerie's tuned in, she should have that already with her. What I want to know is if she's played her first game yet, because Monopoly deal is one of those interesting games. It doesn't take long to play, but it's always good. It's always awesome when you can play it and get your first game under your belt and know, okay, that wasn't as hard as I thought. I actually understand the central tenants. I know how to do that, and I can keep moving forward with that game or with those games, etc., etc. So Valerie, we're looking forward when you do tune in next to let us know if you've been able to take full advantage of the gift that we sent over to you that you won for guessing, for actually guessing the price of the Rolls Royce on our episode a couple of days ago, and that was, or a couple of weeks ago, and that was a fiery episode. For those of you who are tuned in with us, you will know that was a fiery episode. We had so much value that we shared, so much power that we basically pulled out of that episode. So that was an extremely valuable episode, and those of you who are with us there, rocking with us, I hope you got value also seeing what actually happened on that episode. Now guys, today it's that day once again. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be breaking down a whole bunch of stuff in today's episode, talking about whether you're actually even investing in property the right way. All right. Now, there's a lot of people who tune into this show, and because of some of the things they've been tuned into prior, maybe property training, maybe network marketing, maybe, traditional property investing, they think to themselves, I know how to invest in property. It's simple. It's basic. All right. Now, let me say this. Simple, okay, doesn't always mean easy. All right. And that's something I always try to encourage people with. We had an episode a few weeks ago, specifically 2 weeks ago. That was episode 71. I believe that was the one where Valerie actually won the prize. We spoke about quality versus quantity as it pertains to property. Now, this is something very important to me. So it's something I speak about all of the time as much as I can. Property quality versus property quantity. We have a big myriad of people in the property industry who talk about property like it's all about the quantity. As many properties as you've got, as you've got. If you've got more properties, you're winning. If you've got more properties, you're doing it. If you've got more properties, you're the person. And what people don't realize a lot of the time is it doesn't really work like that. Like, the reality is it's not necessarily about having more properties. A lot of the time it's actually really about being the person who knows that they have quality over the quantity. Okay. And that's not the easiest thing to be a person who focuses on. For most people, they don't focus on that because for most people, they've been misconstrued. They've been taught that no, they shouldn't focus on it like that. They shouldn't think about it like that. But I'm here to tell you that that is exactly how you should think about property. It should always be quality before quantity. I'm going to say that one more time. It should always be, not sometimes, not most of the times. It should always be quality over quantity. That is the way that you make sure that what you're doing in your property investment has legs. That's how you make sure that it has a lifelong span rather than a short-term span. So in episode 73, we're going to be digging deeper into this by asking the question, have you been investing in property the wrong way? And I'd like to know, let me know in the chat, what do you think? Do you think you've been investing in property the right way since you started? Did you start off investing the right way? Did you transition? Did you change how you were investing? Were you one of those people like the video that we put out a couple of weeks ago who started on a residential journey and said, hold on a minute, I'm going to get better returns, or this is going to be better for me if I actually go down a commercial route? Who are you in your property investment journey? I'd love to know. Let us know in the chat down below. Now, question of the day, question of today's show. Let me do this, which I haven't done in a little while, but let me actually add the question of today's show into the chat so anyone who tunes in can refer back to it. Question of today's show. Okay. Hope you're ready for this because this one is a little bit of a deep one. Question of today's show. Why do you invest in property? Okay. I'm sincerely interested in the viewers who tune into our show in finding out, why do you invest in property? So if you're rocking with us live, I'd like to know in the chat, why do you invest in property? If you're someone who's tuning in on the replay, feel free to let us know in the comments section down below. Why do you invest in property? What got you saying, you know what, I'm going to invest in property, and I invest in property because of this? Last week's question of the day was, who got you inspired into property? This week, why do you invest in property? Do you invest in property for the cash? Is it all about the cash? Is it all about the money? Is that the reason why you invest in property? Or are you someone more like me? Is it all about the keys? Are you the kind of person who just wants access to more and more doors so you can teach people more, you can equip people more? Why do you invest in property? Let us know in the chat and comment sections below so we can actually utilize that as part of today's show. Why do you invest in property? And last but not least, if you are tuning into this and you have a friend who's not tuning into this, who you know will get value from this, feel free to share this video with them. You can send them the link, impactproperties.co.uk/let's go live. One more time, that's impactproperties.co.uk/let's go live, and help them to be a part of our show. Now, what have we covered in the last few weeks that may be of relevance to you? First and foremost, episode 71, as I mentioned a moment ago, we spoke about property quality versus property quantity. That was a powerful episode, which you and your friends may want to go and dig deeper into to start asking yourself questions about how you've invested in property and how you potentially plan to proceed investing in property. Then we had episode 68, which was about 5-6 episodes back. In episode 68, okay, we spoke about a simple secret about investing. That episode was a fiery episode, breaking down a simple secret that many people do not even know about as it pertains to property investing. And it's interesting because it's that same simple secret that we're going to be touching on when we dig deeper into the masterclass that is taking place this evening at 9 p.m. So if you're the kind of person who really wants to unlock some secrets as it pertains to your property investing journey, why not be a part of what we're doing? Why not join us at 9 p.m.? All you need to do is go to the link impactproperties.co.uk/masterclass and register. So at 9 p.m. you can be a part of exactly what we're doing on the masterclass. That masterclass is going to be going for 90 minutes. Usually we go for 90 minutes, an hour and a half on most of our masterclasses, breaking things down, giving people's insights so that they can change their whole life, so that everything they're doing in property can radically be transformed. And we have one real goal. If I'm going to be really honest with you, when we jump into masterclasses with people, we have one predominant goal. And that goal is that when the people who are on our masterclass leave us, they're able to go into the property industry and hear this. Access grant. And that's it. Access granted. Okay. And the only way that happens is if we are sincere in our ability to show people exactly how to do this. The only way that happens is if we are genuine in our ability to equip people with resources, insights, keys, secrets that they can actually use in order to move further faster in their property investing journey. Now, last episode as a recap, next generation of property investing success. I'm going to say it one more time. The next generation of property investing success. That was episode 65, 8 episodes back. I'm telling you, if you have not tuned into that episode 65, where we broke down all things relating to the next generation of property investing success. We spoke about people. We spoke about one specific young lady who was making waves in the property sector, someone who you need to look out for. Okay, international investor who's basically doing some great things. But side by side with that, we started to speak about what can our generation actually learn from the next generation, as well as what can the next generation actually learn from us. So that episode 65, was a fiery episode. If you have not watched that, go and watch that episode. That episode is the kind of episode that, as we usually say, will set you every which way but loose. Okay. And I want to encourage you guys not to forget as well. I hope it comes up on the screen. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to comment. Say hi if you are in the chat, so we can know that you are rocking with us and that you are connected on the actual live stream. We love the live audience, which is why we do the live stream. Like I said, it's episode 73. To get here was no small feat, but we have done it and we will continue to do it as we know we're giving out that value. Now, let me just see if there's any shout outs to give real quick. If there's anyone in the chat who's already said, hey, haven't even put up my chat yet. Still got the chat down. Let me put the chat up and see if there's anyone who's joined the house, letting me know that they're brand new to the show, or letting me know that they've been here before. Let me know as we put the chat up. Okay, cool. Nobody's really saying hey yet. Nobody's saying hey yet. Guys, let me tell you something. I need that engagement, guys. I need the engagement up. If you are tuned in live, let me see a hi in the chat. We got Deco Keegan. Good evening, mate. Hello. Great to have you on. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. So let's dig deeper into today's show. Hopefully, I think my comments should be able to come up today as well. Let's make sure that's all working before we jump into the deep value that we have for today's episode. Now, yes, we do have the comments live. We do have our comments also going live. Absolutely brilliant. So, like we've said, for Deco Keegan and also for anyone else who's tuned in, today's question of today's show is, why do you invest in property? Okay, if you're invested in property already, why do you invest in property? If it's something you're thinking about doing, why are you thinking about investing in property? This is the question of today's show. Why do you invest in property? Now, in today's episode, we're going to specifically speak about something very interesting. We're going to be speaking about, do you invest in property the wrong way? And this is one of the things, okay, which is the reason why we're actually doing our masterclass this evening at 9 p.m. And it's because of the fact that we've come across so many people that invest in property, but do it the wrong way. Now, to get us started in today's show, what I want to do for episode 73 is I want to start by being very, very transparent. What happens in a lot of these kind of YouTube shows or, on social media, Instagram, what have you, is we've gotten into a generational thing where people aren't really telling the truth anymore. Okay. And what I wanted to do for episode 73 is start the episode by doing more than telling you the truth, by sharing with you guys a story, okay, about my actual history. Okay. I'm going to share with you exactly how I came across or stumbled upon the ideology, the reality that I wasn't investing in property the right way. Okay. And this was quite a while ago, but again, the story still serves to help not only the audience, but also myself sometimes when I just reflect on it and realize to myself, hold on, Samuel, this is what you were doing before. Like you were not even realizing that you weren't even investing properly. Okay. So a number of years ago, being about 19 years old, I used to work as an estate agent. When I worked as an estate agent, I came across one specific landlord, and his name was Mr. Mahmood. Mr. Mahmood had two sons, okay? One of his sons was what we call traditionally like a vagabond, okay? Into the drugs, into the drink, wasn't very serious about his life. The other son was actually a medical school student. So Mr. Mahmood had these two kind of varying individuals in his household. Now, Mr. Mahmood, when I worked in the estate agents, was actually the largest property landlord that I knew. He had a major 4 properties, okay? But again, we can laugh at it now. It was only 4 properties. But when I was working at 19 years old in the estate agency that I was working in East London, that was actually the largest portfolio landlord I knew, okay? And he had 4 properties. And I remember Mr. Mahmood at that time taking a liking to me. And I didn't really know why. Now as an adult, I look back and I realized, oh, maybe he took a liking to me because of the fact that I was a similar age to his sons. And he could see that I was interested in property. I was active in property. I was open to what property could actually do. Now, one of the things that was actually interesting about this situation or / scenario was the simple fact that Mr. Mahmood used to confide in me about his property in portfolio and also about his property endeavors and plans. Obviously, being his primary estate agent, that's kind of what you do. You end up having these engagements and these conversations. And one of the things that I found, which was really, really interesting, was Mr. Mahmood used to share with me that neither of his sons were interested in his portfolio seriously. And what do I mean by this when I say seriously? Well, kind of the way to explain it is his son that was in med school was the one who had his kind of head screwed on. He wasn't interested in property. And Mr. Mahmood, obviously him being the older son, Mr. Mahmood would say to him, like, look, I'm going to give you the properties when I pass away. I'm going to pass these things on to you. And Mr. Mahmood was fairly old, but his son would be like, Dad, I'm not interested in that. Like, Dad, I don't care about it. Okay. I don't know if you're a parent and you've been in a situation where your child's told you, look, I'm not interested in something you're interested in. But that was Mr. Mahmood's plight with his oldest son. And then his younger son was again the vagabond of the house. He was kind of really into partying, into spending his dad's money, but not necessarily into building his dad's finances or into helping his dad get more money. Okay, so that was again a kind of weird, interesting scenario / situation. So as a result, Mr. Mahmood knew he couldn't necessarily leave his things to his younger son. So these were some of the conversations me and Mr. Mahmood would have at some times. And it made me realize, like, okay, this is why he's really taken a liking to me, because he can see I'm a young guy, I'm interested in property, etc. Not necessarily to have his inheritance, okay? That's not what I'm talking about. But it was my engagement with Mr. Mahmood that made me start to realize there's actually a potential opportunity here. Mr. Mahmood had this big barrier, this big problem, this big wall, this big issue that was stopping him from achieving what he wanted to achieve, which was passing on his properties to the next generation, to his children. But for me, it was opening up my eyes to actually what opportunity I had ahead of me. Like, hold on a minute, I could use property as a vehicle to actually move forward. I could use property as a vehicle to generate income. I could use property as a vehicle to change my life. Okay. And that was kind of like the wake up call I had, 19 years old, fairly young, to realize from this one individual, Mr. Mahmood, that property could be a viable vehicle for me to change things in my life. Okay. So that's where I started in my journey. Now, with that ideology, I started to devise my plan. And my plan was, okay, I'm going to buy as much properties as I can. I'm going to save up as much money as I can. I'm going to buy a property, as often as I can. As long as I can get the savings, I can get the properties. That was kind of the plan. Now, obviously, if you've ever tried to save up to buy property, you know what I'm talking about. It's not as easy as people make it sound. Okay. Let me know in the chat if I'm correct or if I'm incorrect. Have you ever tried to save up to buy a property and found it's actually harder than most people tell you? You see, money is not just like Samuel makes it seem, like it just grows on his table, okay? It's actually much more complicated than that. It actually takes a lot more than that. I got ICanWin in the chat. He says, great evening all. Oh, Deco Keegan, I just seen another comment. We will get the beer in before summer ends. I look forward to that. I look forward to being able to go out and get some drinks. So this was part of the issue. Part of the issue was the simple fact for Mr. Mahmood, he couldn't pass on his portfolio. But for me personally, I couldn't find it easy to just save up and just get to a space where from saving money, I'm going to be able to shift my life to the next degree and buy my first, buy my second, buy my third, buy my fourth property. And guys, for those of you who are tuned in who haven't answered the question of the day yet, the question of the day on the screen, why do you invest in property? Let us know in the chat, okay? So that's where I was. That's exactly where I was. I was in a space where I said, you know what? My plan is to save up as much as I can. When I save up as much as I can, I'll buy a property. I'll buy as much property as I can, bit by bit, one at a time, and I'll make it happen. Now, the thing that's interesting about that is even though I had that plan, I started to realize that the plan was harder than I thought. You see, today, I'll give you an example. Today, I was driving to London and back. And one of the things that happened today, I realized as I was driving, I was listening to the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, hashtag Rich Dad Poor Dad. Anyone who's read the book or anyone who's listened to that before, let me just see a hashtag Rich Dad Poor Dad in the chat. But I was listening to the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. I listen to it every now and then. And as I was listening to the book, I was listening to Robert Kiyosaki break some interesting things down. And one of the things he broke down, again, you know, hat off to Robert Kiyosaki for writing that masterpiece of a book. He basically says, look, most human beings work their job firstly for their bosses, okay? And that's the truth. If you're a director, if you've been a director of a company, you understand this. Most human beings, they get an employed job and they work predominantly first and foremost for their bosses. What do we mean by that? Well, you usually, I think it came out in Sainsbury's. I think it was a documentary that Sainsbury's did where they basically explained that each employee that they have in their company generates 7 times what they get paid, okay? I'm going to say that again, all right? Each employee that they have in the Sainsbury's organization, obviously other organizations are different, generally create 7 times more wealth than they get paid. Okay. Now, the reason that's important is because, again, it just feeds into what Robert Kiyosaki was saying in his book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. People who have traditional jobs generally work first and foremost for their bosses because their bosses are generating a maximum kind of income or revenue from the person's work, from the person's engagement. So let's say it's 7 times. Let's even be modest. Let's say it's 3 times more. Okay. So you walk away with a salary of 30K per annum, but your employer is generating off of the work, the labor that you provide, 90,000 roughly. Okay. Let's just do it like that. So Robert Kiyosaki says the first thing that most human beings work for is their bosses. They make their bosses wealthier. They make their bosses richer. And there's nothing wrong with that. Samuel ICanWin is not saying there's anything wrong with that. That's fine. That makes sense. Okay. Because you work for that employer. So why should that employer not generate wealth, not, you know, be a benefactor of your labor? That just makes sense. Okay. So that's the first thing. Now, Robert Kiyosaki then goes on to say, secondarily, after working for the man, for the boss, the second most people work for is actually for the government, okay? Because the second revenue stream that you're actually creating that is getting taken from you is your taxes, okay? So you're generating income, but then you're being taxed at a certain level, certain degree. So I want you to bear that in mind as well, okay? Because after your boss, there's then the tax, okay? So we got the boss, we got the tax. We got the boss, we got the tax. Now, straight after the boss, straight after the tax, Robert Kiyosaki goes on to say that the third person you're usually working for is the bank. Hello, somebody. And I want us to be very, very mindful of this because this is something that Robert breaks down and I don't think he's got it wrong. I feel like he's got it spot on. You start by developing wealth for your employer, for your boss. You then transition into developing wealth for the government through means of taxes, okay? And one of the big ways to understand this, if you Google it, you'll see it, is you know, it's all over the internet. Most people work all year and don't start generating revenue for themselves until around April, May, okay? Sometimes March, depending on the kind of income you've got. And the reason why is because taxes, you're basically just paying taxes up until around March, which is about a third of the actual year. Okay, so Robert Kiyosaki, he says, first and foremost, you're making money for your boss. Secondarily, you're making money for the government. Thirdly, you're making money for the bank. Now, how does he get to the bank third? Surely third, it should be your children, your family, the people that you're actually working for. No, the reason it's third the bank is because most people strive to buy a house, to pay a mortgage, and that mortgage is usually a funding facility provided by a bank. And if it's a financial facility provided by the bank, a funding facility provided by the bank, 9 times out of 10, it comes with a component of interest. And by virtue of the fact it comes with a component of interest, you are paying that interest off prior to you being actually able to pay off that debt. So this is how Robert Kiyosaki goes down this hierarchy, and Robert Kiyosaki breaks down in the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, chapter 3. Okay, it's actually one of my favorite chapters, probably my favorite chapter in the book, because of the actual lesson he's teaching in that chapter. And it's a lesson that I needed to learn, and I never really learned that lesson until I read that book. And that lesson is mind your own business. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. The lesson Robert Kiyosaki teaches in the Rich Dad Poor Dad book for chapter 3, lesson number 3, is mind your own business. It's the lesson I speak about the most when I'm with, close friends and family, because it really resonated with me when I first read the book. The first time I read the book, that was one of the biggest lessons that stood out to me. Mind your own business. Now, let me tell you why it stood out to me before I keep going onto this thread. The reason lesson number 3 in the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, Mind Your Own Business, stood out to me so much the first time I read the book is because as a person who's got a big heart to give and to care for people and to do things for people, it never occurred to me that I can do things for people more if I actually focus and mind my own business first. It never occurred to me. Growing up, being dragged to church by my parents, being dragged to church by my mum, sitting down at the feet of pastors, working in ministries, going through all of those things that I went through as a young boy, being kind of forced into certain levels of religion, I never realized that, yes, you can have a benevolent heart, but your benevolence gets even better when you actually learn how to mind your own business. Because if you mind your own business, you can be more effective, you can generate more revenue. Like we said a moment ago in Robert Kiyosaki's book, he says the first people you're working for is actually your boss. Why don't you become the boss? Because if you become the boss, what happens now is people are working for you. And if people are working for you because you were minding your own business, you get to be in a stronger, wiser, sharper position to now help other people. So this was a big lesson for me when I was working full time as a teacher, when I was giving my life to teacher training, teaching teachers how to teach, as well as teaching A-level maths and secondary maths. This was a very big component for me. And I want to encourage you, wherever you are in your life, to think about that as well. Okay. Are you really working first and foremost just to help your boss get richer, just to pay the government through means of taxes, and just to pay the bank and their high interest rates or their interest rates? Now, again, I'm not saying this to say any of those things are wrong. I'm just saying it so we have a clear understanding of how the world works. The way the world works is not necessarily the way we think it always works. Okay. So Robert Kiyosaki breaks that down. Now, the reason I wanted to bring in what Robert Kiyosaki breaks down is because as we're talking about, do you invest in property the wrong way? I want you guys to understand how I started to realize working full time, working in education, working as a secondary school maths teacher, working as an A-level maths teacher, how I started to realize, listen, this saving thing is hard, man. It's hard, man. Like just normal saving from a normal job, 30K a year, 40K a year. I'm grateful. I was quite, blessed. I worked to a degree where I was getting paid 50K a year, on average 50K a year as a teacher trainer and as a teacher of A-level maths. So I was actually quite fortunate, but nonetheless, as fortunate as I was, it kept dawning upon me that, hold on a minute, Samuel, it's not as easy as you think it is. It's not as easy as you think it is. Just this whole saving up. All you're going to do is save up, bro. And from saving up, one day you're going to have the money. One day you're going to be able to buy property number 1. One day you're going to be able to do a bit more. One day you're going to be able to change the scenario, change the situation. Guys, it didn't happen for me like that. And to be honest with you, that was part of the reason, part of the way that I started to realize, hold on a minute, this thing doesn't actually work. So when I asked the question today, why do you invest in property? It's quite important that you guys let me know. That's why it's the question of today. Why do you invest in property? It's quite important that you let me know, because I want to help you guys understand how I was able to understand when I started to realize why I was actually investing in property, that it wasn't actually going to work. doing it the way I was trying to do it. It wasn't actually going to work. Just saving up, being a save slave. Some people have heard of the wage slave. Have you heard of the save slave? Because that's who I was. If you haven't heard of that, put that in the chat. Save slave. Hashtag save slave. Samuel, you're the first person who's ever said that to me. I don't want to be part of the hashtag save slave crew. Because that's effectively where I was, guys. I was exactly there. I was in a space in my life where I was a slave to trying to save. I was trying to put as much money away at the end of every day, but not actually realizing that as much money as you put away, you still can't pay to play in the game that you're trying to pay to play in. You see, the property investing game isn't what you think it is. In Pursuit of Purity says hashtag save slave. Thank you ever so much. Listen, guys, do you see, property investing isn't what people think it is. Why do you think in 2019, I ran multiple masterclasses teaching people about property investing? Why do you think in 2020 we started doing this live show when the whole pandemic and lockdown stuff happened? Why do you think as of this year we've started running our masterclasses again? For those of you who don't know, at 9 p.m. tonight, we're running a masterclass. impactproperties.co.uk/masterclass. Go get yourself registered. Be a part of what we're doing at 9 p.m. tonight. Now, why do you think I teach on property investing? It's very simple, because I realized when I was part of the Save Slave crew that you can't actually be successful investing in property doing it like that. It doesn't work, guys. It doesn't work. Okay, I'm just going to be transparent with you, if that's okay. Is it all right for me to be transparent? Let me see the word transparent in the chat, if I can be transparent, ladies and gentlemen. Because it just doesn't work like that, unfortunately. Now, I'd love for it to work like that. I'd love for it to be, no, that is actually the way it is. I'd love for it to be like that, but it doesn't really, truly, genuinely work like that. Why doesn't it work like that? Well, the reason it doesn't work like that, I'm going to give you the maths. Should I give you the maths? Let me see. Give me the maths in the chat. If you guys want me to give you the maths, let me see. Give me the maths in the chat. I need about 10 people to write give me the maths in the chat for us to go into this one. Give me the maths. You see, guys, I want you to understand that the Save Slave crew is not for you. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. The Save Slave crew is not for you. It took me some time to realize that. It took me a little while to get to a space in my life where I started to understand, hold on a minute, I'm not supposed to be part of that family. I'm not supposed to be part of that crew. That Save Slave crew is not for me. It took me some time to realize that, ladies and gentlemen. But this is the reason why I now go out of my way through masterclasses, through training, through development, through resource creation, through teaching, delivery, through the free masterclass, to make sure that I help people understand that's not for you. The slave crew is not for you. You see, I've been there. I've been on 50K a year, being taxed, generating the government through means of the schools I was working in more money, being in a position where I know I'm paying the banks more money than I'm walking away with. And I'm in a predicament where I'm trying to invest in property. Guys, if you understand what I'm talking about, let me see the word understand in the chat. Because this is what I was going through. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to help myself. I didn't know how to change my predicament or situation. I didn't know what the solution was. I didn't know what the answer was. All I knew is that I had hit a brick wall. I said I was going to save my way to invest in property. I quickly realized that I couldn't save fast enough. If you guys want the maths, let me see. Give me the maths in the chat and I'll give you the maths to help you see it. And I'm not talking about complicated, convoluted maths that's going to confuse you. I'm talking about really simple maths that you can apply to your own life right now in 10 to 12 seconds and realize, you know what, hold on a minute. Samuel might be right. This thing ain't going to work for me either. Let me break this down. I think you guys want me to break this down. This is one of my new clocks. This is going to help us break this down. One of my new clocks, as you can see, it's reflective, beautiful, mirror, all of that. This is one of my new clocks. As you can see, I've also got my fingerprints all over this thing. I will wipe it down. Okay, I will wipe it down. Now, with my newest clock, okay, everyone who knows me knows I love timepieces. I love watches, you know, nice clocks, pieces, watches, hourglasses, all of those things, okay? Keep them all nice and neat near my office. But let me break this down. I got KTR in the chat. She says, hello, KTR, welcome to the show. Great to have you on today. Hope you are doing well. We got a lot of value on today's show. And KTR, if you want to jump into one of our masterclasses. We have a masterclass at 9 p.m. this evening. Just letting you know, because I know you like jumping onto the masterclasses. This evening we have a masterclass where we're going to be breaking down some keys to cash flow. So if you're interested, get registered and jump on that tonight as well. All right, let me quickly wipe up my new clock as I break this down. All right, but like I said, guys, I need about 10 people to say do the maths in the chat if you guys want me to break down the maths of the situation I was just talking about. But let's go into it. So those of you who know me know I like watches, I like timepieces, I like hourglasses, I like things that resonate and signify the time, okay? And the reason I like that is because it always reminds me that time waits for no man. It's just something that I heard when I was really, really young. We've probably all heard that saying, time waits for no man. And I like reminding myself, Samuel, time's not waiting for you. You've got to do what you were created to do. You've got to put the value out there. You've got to help people in a way no one else is helping people, so that your time on this earth can be spent, can be invested, can be used, can be utilized appropriately. So I like timepieces. Now, this is one of the newest timepieces I've got for my office. Now, let me share something with you. If you look at this timepiece, it just is a mumble jumble, okay? Those of you who know, I have my Bible and breakfast meeting first Saturday of every month for men only. This morning, we had the Bible and breakfast session, and I broke something down to the guys, the same thing I'm breaking down to you guys right now, because I don't want to leave you out. And that was my newest timepiece tells time, but not with numbers like my current watch on my wrist, not with sand like my hourglass on my desk. My newest timepiece tells the time in words. But the thing that's interesting when you look at this, okay, I'm going to say this one more time. I want you to get this, okay? The thing that's interesting when you look at this is the words are just jumbled up. Look at these letters, ITLISASTHPMA, and it goes on and goes on and goes on. The letters are just a jumble of letters. It's just a jumble of letters. Now, what happens with this, and I'm not going to do this on camera because I don't want to blind anyone, but what happens with this is when I turn this clock on, it illuminates from inside out. And when it turns on, when the light turns on, what happens is the light shows us the time. It will say it is 2:05. It is 9:10. It is 7:50. It is 8 p.m. It is 9 p.m. Hashtag masterclass time. It would tell you the time in words. But let me tell you something. Most people's lives are like my newest clock. Most people's property investment journey is like this clock. It's a mumbo jumbo. And until you get some level of illumination from the inside out, most people are just confused about what they're actually really doing in property. Why am I saying that? Because I'm perfect and I know everything. No, I'm saying it because I was in the same boat. I'm saying it because I lived there too. Hashtag save slave. I'm seeing the likes go up. You guys must have heard something you like just there. Listen, I'm telling you guys, I was in the same boat. I was in the same predicament. I was going through the same thing. I was sailing in the same journey, guys. I was generating £50,000 a year as a secondary and A-level mathematics teacher, as a teacher trainer, having studied 4 degrees. This is what they tell you, guys. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. They tell you, go get a degree, get a good job, and you'll be okay. I got a degree. I studied 4. I studied 2 master's degrees. I got the job. Okay. ICanWin says in the chat, break it down. Let me see, guys. Am I going to get some more break it down? Am I going to get some more do the maths? Let me know, guys, because I'm ready to do the maths for you. You see, I was in a position where I was actually trying to work out, like, how can I do this property thing? All I need to do is save up, right? Guys, let me tell you something. I saved. I was part of the save slave. I saved. I did the save slave, but it didn't make a difference. It still took too long to be able to buy property. It still took too long to be able to change my circumstance and situation. Some of you who are tuned in right now, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I've got also ICanWin in the chat. It says, clearly understand. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of you have been in the same predicament. Some of you know exactly how how the apple drops, as they say. Some of you have been there before. Some of you understand this. Let me give you the maths. You guys haven't put it in the chat, but let me give you the maths. I need to give you the maths. I need you guys to be equipped. I don't know if I should do this. I don't know if it's too much for you guys. Maybe it's too much. That's why you're not asking for it. It's all good. Let's leave it. Guys, I want you to understand one thing, and one thing for sure. Most people who invest in property are doing it wrong. Okay, Samuel, how can you say that? You're not justified to say that. Are you sure? Let me explain. Most people in the UK right now, you can check the statistics, it's all online, okay? Most people in the UK who own more than one property generally own two, okay? You should write that down. If you're here taking notes, most people know when you tune into the show, make sure you got a pen, notepad, iPad, stylus, board marker, rubber, whatever you need to take the notes. Take those notes. All right. You might want to take a pencil so you can rub it out if you make a mistake, but write the notes nonetheless. Most people in the UK, statistically proven, who own more than one property only own two. Okay. Now the question is, why is that? Why is it that most people who own more than one property in the UK only own two? Why? In the whole of Europe, okay, United Kingdom is no longer trying to be classified as part of Europe. That's okay, but let's keep this theme to help you guys understand, because it's a continental aspect of what I'm bringing up. In the whole of Europe, the UK are one of the most doggish, one of the most vigilant when it comes to the acquisition and purchase of property. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. Go to Germany. Even let's go deeper. Go to Lithuania. Go to where was we talking about the other day? Go to Bulgaria. Go to Chechnya. Go to some of these other European nations. Go to Italy. Go to Spain. And see communities, countries of people, nations of people who are not even interested. Go to Poland. You will see this on steroids. People who will live their whole life and never buy a single property. Never even buy the property they own. Let me tell you something. It is the British tradition to buy the house you live in. It's a British tradition. That's not a European tradition. Most countries in Europe actually are very against that. They're against spending their whole life, 30 years, 40 years, to work a job just to pay a mortgage, okay? Most people in the whole of Europe are actually against that, okay? If you didn't know that bit of insight, Samuel ICanWin gives you today. Now, why is this important? Let me explain why it's important. Because the majority of people in the UK who actually do own more than one property, I'm going to explain to you how they own that property, okay? We're going to get Mr. James and Mr. Bobby again. Let's leave those two out for today. All right. Let's speak about Sandra and Shane. Shane does what his daddy told him. Shane goes to school. Shane goes to college. Shane goes to university. Shane gets his degree. Shane's an engineer. Okay. Finished top of his class, first class degree. Goes and becomes an engineer. Shane gets a job with one of the big four. He's working for KPMG. Hey, Shane, someone's jealous of you. Me just because I spoke about you, Shane. This is the reality, guys, of where we're living. Shane's working for KPMG, got a first class degree, qualified as an engineer. Shane's doing his thing. KPMG, 60K a year. Shane buys his first house, 25, 26. Shane's chilling, some people will say. Shane meets Sandra. Now, Sandra's done quite well for herself as well. She's a biochemist, okay? Sandra went to a good university. Let's say she went Imperial. Let's keep it strong. She went Imperial College London. Sandra did her degree, biochemistry. Left her biochemistry degree and then got a job with the big GSK. Sandra, some people are getting jealous just hearing your story. Shane and Sandra end up going to Soho House. They go to a specific little, private dining place, and they see each other for the first time. Connect with each other, like each other, start to talk to one another. And you know what it's like, guys. You know what it's like. They're on the phone every single day. You know what it's like. They're talking daily. Every single day. They like each other. They start dating. They get to the romance. Long story short, Sandra and Shane go get married. Wedding bells in the air. Happiest day of their lives. Now, what I didn't tell you is Sandra bought a house too. That's the perks of working for GSK. She's got a good salary, 45 a year. Shane's doing well, 60K a year. Bring them together, 105K a year. Oh my gosh, you might as well call them the dream team. If this was basketball, we'd be talking about that Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen kind of connection. But let me tell you something. Sandra and Shane get married. Sandra and Shane move into Shane's place. And Sandra and Shane end up with what we call a spare house. Hello, somebody. Someone tell me if you know what we call this in the property industry. If you know what we call this in the property industry, let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. 2 words. 2 words. 2 words. We call this in the property industry 2 words. The first word begins with A. If someone knows what we call this in the property industry, let me know in the chat. 2 words. The first word begins with A. So Shane and Sandra now move into Shane's place. 105K they're generating per annum. Married couple, got the crib, living in the crib, both with Shane. Sandra's house is the spare house. They got a spare house between them. And Sandra and Shane, you know what it's like. They're laying on the sofa one day, just having that conversation. So Shane, what do we do with the spare house? Sandra, what do you think we should do with the spare house? It's your house. You know, Sandra's a good girl. She says, what's yours is mine. It's our house, baby. What do you think we should do with our house? It's a spare house. Simple does it. They say, you know what? Let's rent it out. Let's make some money. Let's make some money with that house. Let's make some money. Let's get some money with that house. They rent the house out. Nobody's put it in the chat yet. I'm surprised. What do we call Shane and Sandra, guys? What do we call Shane and Sandra? 2 words, begins with an A. So they've got to this space right now where Shane and Sandra are living in a house together. They're living in Shane's place. They've got Sandra's house as a spare house and they've decided to rent it out. Now they're renting it out. They might be making £100, £200 a month, making some crumbs. Okay. And because they're making that £100, £200 every single month, when they go to dinner parties and they talk to people and they say, what do you do? Oh yeah, I work for KPMG. And you know, Sandra works for GSK. Oh, you guys are the dream team. Oh yeah, and we invest in property. Oh, you invest in property, do you? Yeah, we're landlords. We're landlords. KTR throws it in the chat. She's got it. We're landlords. No. Sorry, Shane, I got to correct you. KTR just told me, she sent me the message, you're accidental landlords. You see, that is the problem for so many people. You see, so many people think they know what they're doing and thus think they warrant themselves the title of landlord or of investor or of strategist when they don't actually realize you're an accidental landlord, mate. You got into that by accident. And you're probably still accidentally operating in there. And you're probably going to accidentally work your way out of there too. And the reason why is because they don't know what they're doing. I'll give you an example. Let me just make it simple. Okay? I'll make it simple. You guys didn't want the maths from earlier on. So let me just make this simple. Real simple and easy. Okay? And guys, question of today's show on the screen right now. Why do you invest in property? Let me know in the chat. Why do you invest in property? Whoever you are tuning in, if you haven't answered the question yet, why do you invest in property? Let us know in the chat. And if you're watching this on a replay, let us know in the comment section below. Why do you invest in property? Very interested to know. Very interested to know. So let me break this down. So Shane and Sandra meet Samuel at a dinner party. And Samuel corrects Shane and says, Shane, based on your story, you're actually an accidental landlord. Sandra, based on your story, you're actually an accidental landlord. Now, I said I'm going to break it down. Let me break this quick piece down for you guys to take even more value away. And guys, look, if you are getting value from what I've shared already and you're not signed up to the masterclass we're doing tonight at 9 p.m., go register for the masterclass, impactproperties.co.uk/masterclass. That's one of the links that will get you onto that masterclass tonight. Okay? Because some people are going to need that. Some people are going to need that. Some people need to be there. Some people need to understand exactly what we're going to be breaking down. And for those of you who don't want that link, we've got another link, impactproperties.co.uk/cashflow, that will get you onto the same class. So just get registered so you can be in it to win it. Now, let's break it down. When Samuel breaks down to Shane, listen, Shane, Mr. Shane, Mrs. Sandra, let me tell you guys something. You're accidental landlords. You're not landlords, you're accidental landlords. Why is it so important for them to understand this? Let me break this down. If the property that you own, that you are renting out as a landlord, whether accidental or purposeful, you did not buy specifically for the purpose of investment. You did not buy specifically for the purpose of generating rental revenue. What you have to understand is that you're an accidental landlord. It doesn't work any other way. You've got to think about it. If you bought something to live in and then hasmatically decided you're going to turn it into an investment property, then ladies and gentlemen, let me help you and tell you that's an accident. That's an accident. That wasn't done on purpose. That's not being purposeful. That's being accidental. So when we started today's show, do you invest in property the wrong way? That's a question some of us have to ask ourselves. And let me tell you something. Ask yourself that question with humility, please. Don't be one of those people who ask yourself questions feeling like you already know the answer because you want to convince yourself that the answer you want to hear is the answer you should hear. Let me tell you something. I'm a big reader of the Bible. One verse in the Bible that set me loose. It says, they shall know the truth and the truth shall make them free. Listen, you need to be free from the lies. So sometimes we got to ask ourselves, like, Samuel, did you actually buy that property to make money? You see, why do you think, firstly, as I shared earlier on in the show, that statistically the majority of people in the UK who own more than one property only own two? That's first. Reason being, KTR said it in the chat, okay, is because most of those people are hashtag accidental landlords. That's the first reason why. That's the first reason why. The second reason why, okay, which is even probably more important, the second reason why this is so important is because so many people turn their living accommodation into rental accommodation. Then when they turn their living accommodation into rental accommodation and they're making £100 profit a month, they then tell themselves this property thing doesn't actually work. I was told by my parents, go and invest in property. You can't go wrong with property. I was told by my parents, property is the way forward. When you make enough money, buy a spare property. I was told that, but the reality is making £100 a month, this property thing's not actually worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth the leaking taps. It's not worth the stress. It's not worth becoming a slave. It's not worth all of that just to get £100 a month. And let me tell you something, guys. If you are invested in property and generating £100 a month profit, it's not worth it for you. Stop now, please. Because some people are going to hear this and be like, Samuel, why are you saying this? Why are you guys so hard tonight? I'm going hard because I don't want people to falsely believe that property investment doesn't work just because they're not working it. Just because they're not doing it properly. But yet telling themselves, convincing themselves, and unfortunately, as happens sometimes, also convincing others, hello somebody. Convincing themselves and others that it doesn't work. You know why? Because they're generating £100 a month. Now, my question is, why are they generating £100 a month? Well, they're probably generating £100 a month quite simply because they didn't go into it with the knowledge, the understanding, and the wisdom of what they were actually trying to achieve/do. If you go into a property investment with the plan to generate £1,000 a month, you're going to have to question yourself and say, what kind of property do I need to buy to net £1,000 a month? What kind of strategy do I need to use to net £1,000 a month? Listen, guys, I'm sharing this with you. When let me even break this all down, because I want you guys to get this. I want you guys to be the group of people who get this like nobody else. I want you guys to be the group of people who, when you get this, other people look at you and say, how did you get to understand this stuff so well? Who taught you this so well? And listen, guys, you don't even need to say to them, oh, look, there's this guy, Samuel, ICanWin. He taught me. I'll share his video tomorrow. No. You just need to make sure you learn to work this thing properly. So your next generation can say, thank you, Grandma KTR. Thank you, Grandpa Deco Keegan. Thank you, In Pursuit of Purity. Thank you, Osei ICanWin. Thank you. I just want you to be the person that people say thank you to because you got it cracked, you got it right. When I created this resource, 30 ways in 30 days, teaching people 30 different ways to make money in property, let me tell you something about that. I created this resource because I realized that when you actually work out that you've been doing it wrong, if you're serious about this thing, you'll start trying to work out how to do it right. And when I worked out how to do it right, you know what happened to me? I started realizing that, hold on a minute, there must be other people who want to do this right. There must be other people who have bought below market value. Let me tell you something, guys. I bought a house below market value and was making crumbs every month off the property. It woke me up. It woke me up. Why did it wake me up? Let me tell you why it woke me up. Because the whole property industry are saying you need to buy below market value and you will become rich. This is the problem, ladies and gentlemen. People will tell you you need to buy below market value and you will be rich. Let me tell you something. I have bought a house, one specific house that I bought, just to give you guys context. I bought that house for £100,000 less than the market value as per a RICS surveyor. That was an amazing opportunity. That was an amazing feat that I was able to do and accomplish. But you know the thing that I realized straight after doing that? I realized, hold on a minute. I just added 100,000 to my net worth, but I actually didn't necessarily change my life position. And this is what people need to understand. For those of you who are going to be with us on the masterclass later on today, I'm going to go into that a bit deeper, that specific example. But I want you to understand exactly what I'm talking about. I want you to understand how powerful it is when you actually know what you're doing and you don't just fumble your way through. You don't just trip into property. You don't just accidentally end up in property, but you go through a process where you have a proven track record and system that you can use in order to make your returns make sense. Guys, I want you to make your returns to make sense. I want you guys to be in pole position. I want you guys to be strengthened and strong in your activity in investing in property. No, don't, guys, I'm not saying don't be an accidental landlord, but when you realize you're an accidental landlord, change. Because the problem is if you're doing something by accident, you're always going to tell yourself that the results you're getting are the results other people are getting. You're never going to realize, hold on a minute, the results I'm getting are the results of people who are doing this by accident. The people who are doing this on purpose, they're not getting the same results as me. They can't be. You know why? Because they're doing it on purpose. They can't be. You know why? Because they came in with an intention. They can't be. You know why? Because this is what they actually do. They make it work. Let me give you an example. 30 ways in 30 days was not the only thing. It wasn't the only one that breaks down what I'm talking about. Team 10. This is where I actually really took it to the next level. When I created this resource because I realized one simple thing. I realized, and it is really simple. I realized property investing is not an individual sport. I realized, you know what? The whole world are telling you, go and buy a property. The whole world doesn't tell you, build a team and buy properties. The world doesn't tell you that. Because let me tell you something. When you start building the team, you know what happens? You have people on your left, people on your right, people above you, people below you, who now share with you and convey ideas and ideology with you around your investing journey. Some of those people, if you know what you're doing, if you know what you're doing right, if you've got this resource, then definitely you understand what I'm talking about. But some of what most of these people do is they actually give you insights way beyond the experience level that you currently have. Why? Because some of them have been investing in property longer than you. This is why the other day I've got Ellie Wellbeing in the chat who says, totally agree, Samuel. Measurable process facilitate success. Love that. Love that. Measurable processes facilitate success. Love that. Guys, what you have to understand, okay, is that there are people out there. There are people out there who are looking for the opportunity to invest in property properly. But the problem is they've done everything by accident so far. So they've told themselves it doesn't really work. Listen, guys, I don't want that to be your plight. I don't want you guys to end up in a situation and circumstance where you're saying to yourself, why is this happening to me? Listen, let me even say this to you. If you are tuned into this live right now, at 9 p.m. this evening, we're going to be doing a masterclass. That masterclass at 9 p.m. this evening will be lasting for 90 minutes. And during that 90 minutes, I'm going to be breaking down to you guys keys to cash flow. Why? Because when I bought a house below market value, but it didn't cash flow for me, I realized I had to stay in the dead end 50K job. This is the same thing for Shane and Sandra, guys. Shane can be on 60K a year. Sandra, his damsel, can be on 45K a year. As a dream team couple, they can be on 105K a year, having the one house they live in with Shane, having the spare house they inherited from Sandra. They can rent the house out, make £100 a month, and tell people property investing doesn't work. But you see what happens for someone like Shane. Someone like Shane goes and meets someone like Samuel ICanWin. And Samuel ICanWin is nice. I'm nice. I'm a nice guy. Let me know. Ellie Wellbeing, let me know in the chat. Am I a nice guy? KTR, let me know in the chat. Am I a nice guy? Also ICanWin, am I a nice guy? They go and meet a nice guy like me, and I level with them. And I tell them, Shane, I like you, buddy. I like you, but I gotta let you know you're an accidental landlord. And by virtue of the fact that you're an accidental landlord, the fact that you're making £100 a month on a property you never actually even knew you were gonna rent out in the first place, you need to understand, Shane, that is not a sample size big enough for you to determine whether property investing truly works. Ellie Wellbeing says, awesome guy. Thank you so much, Ellie Wellbeing. You see, guys, I want you to understand how deep this thing really is. We have herds of humans in the UK who are telling people property investing don't work. You know why? Because they don't invest the right way. This is why we had to do episode 73 and talk about, do you actually even invest in property the right way? Do you actually understand what the right way is? If you're one of those people who are tuned into this and you're saying, you know what, I'm not too sure anymore. Samuel, you've been saying some actually interesting things. I'm not too sure anymore. If that's you and you're not too sure anymore, tune in at 9 p.m. to our masterclass. Jump on the link, impactproperties.co.uk/cashflow, or the other link, impactproperties.co.uk/masterclass. Jump on the link. Don't be a stranger. Come join us on the masterclass, because we're going to break that down, how to do it properly. You see, I created these resources for one thing and one thing alone. It was for the simple sake that I realized two very powerful things. I realized there's way more than one way to make money in property. That's the first thing that was kind of like my big aha moment in property. There's way more than one way to make money in property. And then I realized, you know what? Property is not an individual sport. Property is not an individual sport. It never has been, never will be. I'll say that one more time. Property is not an individual sport. It never has been, never will be. And the moment you start to understand it's not an individual sport, you stop playing it like an individual or as an individual, all on your own, lonely jonely. You start realizing, I need to get my team together. I need to get a successful team together. I need to get the team together, the kind of team that's going to produce results for me even when I'm not trying. I need to get the kind of team together that are rooting for me even when I'm not rooting for myself. Let me tell you something, the power of a team. Oh my gosh, let me leave that to the masterclass. Those of you who are joining us on the masterclass, I'm going to be dropping down some even more powerful bombs than usual. Let me leave that to the masterclass. So guys, I wanted you to be equipped with this today. Do you invest in property the wrong way? Do you invest the wrong way? Many people do. That's okay. That's their fault. Now you've been on this show, you're going to be thinking about things differently. You're not going to follow in their footsteps. The way I used to invest in property, to give you guys context, like I shared at the top of the show, the way I used to invest in property was focused on all these big buzzwords that people in the industry talk about. Below market value, BMV. And then I realized one day, you know what? It doesn't work like that. It doesn't just work like that. How much can you radically change your life? Let me tell you something. I had a contact years ago who used to say, you know what? You just need to flip, bro. You just need to flip. If you do not know what flipping is in property, it's kind of like when you buy a property for 100,000, then you refurbish that property for like 20,000, and then you sell that property for 150,000. That's flipping. Okay? Buy, renovate, sell. I remember a contact of mine saying to me, listen, Samuel, all you got to do is buy properties cheap, renovate those properties, then sell those properties. You're going to be made, man. You're going to be made. And I realized, you know what? He was wrong too. He was wrong too. Thank you. It's all coming through now. I don't know if the comments are late, but it's all coming through now. Thank you, guys. I'm humbled. Very nice guy. I love it. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. All right. What you've got to understand is that was where I was at, guys. I was in a space where I was being told by people, Samuel, you've got to flip property. That's what you got to do. You got to flip property. You got to buy property below market value. You got to refurbish that property. And straight after you refurbish that property, you know what the next thing you got to do, Samuel, is? You got to sell it. You got to sell it, bro. Because the moment after you sell it, that's when you're going to be empowered. You're going to have that 30K pre-tax. That 30K that you can do whatever you want with. When you got that 30K, Samuel, I'm telling you, you're going to smile. You're going to be able to take care of your children. Guys, can I speak the truth? Let me see the word truth in the chat. If I can speak the truth, please. Let me see the word truth in the chat. I need like 5 truths. I need the truth like 5 times in the chat. If you guys are ready for me to speak this truth, let me see. Bring up the chat on the screen. Guys, if you haven't hit that like button, hit that like button. If you're getting value, if you have not subscribed to the channel, I don't know what you're doing. We got Anthony Anaka in the show. Thank you, Anthony, for joining us. It is a pleasure to have you. Guys, let me see the word truth 5 times and I'll share some truth with you. That's what the guy told me. Samuel, you got to flip property. I see Anthony, he says, truth. You got to flip property, Samuel. Huh. Guys, if you're joining us on the masterclass tonight at 9 p.m., I'm going to be talking to you about this flip property idea. Trust me. KTR says truth. Thank you, guys. Let me keep them coming, guys. I need 5 truths in the chat. I need 5 truths in the chat to break this down to you. I need 5 truths in the chat. Guys, I need 5 truths in the chat. Oh my gosh. We're going to go in. Ellie Wellbeing gives us truth. Lay it upon us, brother. Oh my gosh. Here we go. Ellie Wellbeing knows how to get me fired up. We got Anthony Anaka who says truth. We got KTR who says truth. We got Ellie Wellbeing who says truth. Let me get 2 more truths, guys. 2 more unique people giving me 2 more truths. And we will be going into me breaking down a truth for you guys to help you guys understand exactly what I'm talking about. Listen, I had someone telling me, Samuel, all you got to do is flip property. All you got to do is buy at 100K, refurbish for 20K, and sell for 150K, and you end up with 30K pre-tax profit. You be chilling, you be laughing. That's what they told me. That's what they actually told me. They said, Samuel, all you got to do is flip property. All right? I don't think we got enough people who want the truth. We've only got 3 people that want the truth. Wow. This is an interesting world we're living in right now. Maybe that is actually how the world really is right now, where not everybody actually wants the truth. Some people want something else. It's all good. It's all good. Hopefully, I was hoping that our channel, where you get creative property investing on demand, is not a good sample of the rest of the world. I was thinking we were a silo. I got KTR who gives me truth again. KTR, you be trying them tricks. You said truth before. I need 2 new people to tell me truth. I need 2 new people to write the word truth in the chat. Listen, guys, I was told, buy properties at 100K, renovate them for 20K, sell them for 150K. Let me tell you something. Do you know you can't even do that in certain places? Let me say that. I want to see the words I know in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. Do you know there's certain places where you buy properties for 100K, you can spend 20K on them and you're not even going to get 150K back? Do you know that? Do you know that? Let me even go deeper. Do you know there's places in the UK you can buy property for 100K? This is going to make you laugh. Renovate for 20K and sell for less than 120K. Do you know that? Do you know that? Okay. Guys, I don't think you even know how powerful this stuff is. I don't think you know how deep this stuff is. Guys, you need to understand how powerful this is, guys. There are places where if you go and attempt to execute exactly what most of these buy below market value, people tell you, you're not even going to get what you're trying to get. What you're going to get is the opposite. You're going to lose money instead of make money. This is why we needed to do today's show. This is why we needed to ask the question of us. Are you actually investing in property the wrong way? Because there's so many people who are doing that. There's so many people who think they know what they're doing. They're just following what people told them to follow. Listen, let me tell you something. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. If it worked like that, Shane and Sandra will be multi-billionaires from one property that they own by accident. Also, ICanWin says true in the chat. I will take that as another truth. So we got 4 so far. I need 1 more. Guys, I want you to understand this, guys. I want you to understand how deep this is. I was being told, flip properties. That's what I was being told. Samuel, all you've got to do is flip property. Buy for 100K. Straight after you buy for 100K, if you're in a space where you can just refurbish it for 20K, sell it for 150K. Listen, I know people who have bought properties for more than 100K, less than 100K, and 100K. Refurbish those properties, put those properties on the market, and got less than how much they put in back. Let me ask you this. Have you heard of negative equity? Let me see. Let me just see yes in the chat. Why for yes in the chat? Why or yes in the chat if you've heard of negative equity. If you haven't heard of negative equity, you need to go and watch our video, our 8-minute video, why you can't sell your house. Go watch that video if you haven't heard of negative equity. Negative equity, ladies and gentlemen. Anthony Anaka says in the chat, yes, I've heard of negative equity. Guys, let me tell you something. There's people who spend money on the property and can't get the money back. KTR says, yes, she's heard of negative equity. There's people who invest in property and can't get their money out. You're going to tell me, go invest in property. You can't go wrong in property. How do you invest the wrong way? Because most people do. Let me say that one more time. Most people do. That's why so many people will tell you property doesn't work. Guys, if you're getting value, hit that like button. Hit that like button. Let me see. Whoo! Here we go. This is what I love. This is why I love being live. Because when you're live is the only time this stuff happens like this. If you're not live, you can't see this stuff. Anthony Anaka says, I suffered in the 90s. Mr. Anaka, tell us more, please. Tell us more in the chat. Tell us more in the chat. Let us know how real it is. Because people think you can't go wrong in property. That's what people tell people. I tell people from day one, listen, if you don't know what you're doing, you're fixing yourself up for stress. Don't be Shane and Sandra on a one-way ticket to stress. Don't be Shane and Sandra on a one-way ticket to stress. I apologize if there's a Shane and Sandra tuned into today's show. You know what it is. We're talking about example purposes. Don't be Shane and Sandra on a one-way ticket to stress. What you should be is educated, equipped, so you can change everything and elevate your circumstance and situation. All you need to do is understand that property investing can work, does work for people who know what they're doing. Let me go deeper to help you guys. I said this 2 episodes ago, and I'm going to break it down to you guys again in tonight's episode 73. There is a difference between knowledge, information, and organized information. There's a difference between information and organized information. Samuel, what do you mean? Well, I kind of mean this. If you scour every echelon of the internet, of the YouTube, if you follow YouTube University, you will find something interesting. You will find, by searching through YouTube University, you will find multiple property investing strategies. You will find, I've got my 5th truth. Deco Keegan comes to the rescue. I've got my 5th truth. I'm going to break the truth down for you guys in a moment. You will find, if you scour the internet, strategy upon strategy upon strategy of how to make money in property. Check this out. But when you go to YouTube University, do you know what you're doing? You're getting information. Now, there was a time where information was valuable. So valuable. So valuable that you'd pay money to go to university for it. You would do whatever it takes to get information. There was a time where information was that valuable. We now live in the information age, ladies and gentlemen. Let me say it one more time. We now live in the information age, ladies and gentlemen. And if you are taking notes like you should do when you tune into this show, you will understand that by virtue of the fact that we live in the information age, information on its own is not as valuable as it used to be. Because it's everywhere and it's free. You can search through the corners, the echelons of the internet, of YouTube University, and find out multiple strategies to invest in property. However, finding out those multiple strategies to invest in property does not mean they're going to work for you. There's a difference between information and organized information. This is why I do this, guys, because I like helping people garner organized information, which is completely different to information. You want an example? I'll give you an example. Okay? And then I'm going to jump into my statement a moment ago. You want an example? I'll give you an example. And then I'm going to jump into my situation from a minute ago. You guys gave me the 5 truths. I'm going to jump into the truth in a moment. Let me give you this example first. There are people who will say to you, I'm going to invest in property. And when they say to you they're going to invest in property, what they mean is, I'm going to try to do what I learned on YouTube University. I'm going to try to do what mama and papa told me. I'm going to try to do what I've heard is what you do in order to invest in property. There are people who invest in property or who attempt to invest in property. Okay, good for them. You see, there is a difference between information, which is probably this valuable, okay, nowadays, because everybody's got an ebook for free. Everybody's got to pay £1 and get a 30-day membership subscription, or everybody's got a little offer out there now. So the information is out there, guys. It's out there and it's close to free. But organized information is completely different. Organized information is something you should be willing to part with your cash for. Why do I say that? Because organized information will put you light years ahead of people who just have information. You can have the information on how to buy a property, but if you have organized information, you know the route, the routine, the process, you know everything. Just like Ellie Wellbeing said earlier on in the chat. Let me find that chat comment because that was a powerful chat comment. The comment said from Ellie Wellbeing earlier, measurable process facilitates success. You need a strategy, guys. You don't just need to know, okay, I can do it. You need a strategy. You need to know how to do it. And that's organized information, not just information. Now, you guys said truth 5 times. I got my 5 truths. Let me give you the truth. Why is it, how is it that I realized flipping property, even when I say it like that, you should start to understand why it's lacking something. But let me go into it. How did I learn that flipping property wasn't the answer for me? How did I learn that? I'm going to tell you right now. This is the truth. Contact of mine says to me 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I think it's about 6 years ago now, 5-6 years ago now. Contact of mine says to me 5-6 years ago, Samuel, all you got to do is flip property. All you got to do, flipping property. All you got to do. Buy for 100, renovate for 20, sell for 150, walk away with 30. All you've got to do is flip property. Here's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. You buy for 100. Let's say you even get it right. You buy for 100. You renovate for 20. You sell for 150. But you like glasses. So when you get your 30, you go buy some new glasses. But you like books and resources. So when you get your 30, you go buy some books and resources. But you like timepieces. So when you get your 30, you go buy some more timepieces. But you like watches. So when you get your 30, you go buy some new watches. Guys, what happens to the 30? Someone told me in the chat. What happens to the 30 when you spent 50 on glasses, when you spent 50 on watches, when you spent 50 on something? Guys, what happened to the 30? Tell me in the chat, guys. What happens to the 30? Because this is the truth I'm talking about, that my ladies and gentlemen who tune into this show need to know. I am not saying don't go and buy properties and renovate and sell. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, do you invest in property the wrong way? Are you doing something completely different, completely wrong compared to what you should be doing? Are you going about it thinking this is the way to do it, but very quickly realizing I don't even know what I'm doing? Is that you? Because this show, episode 73, is created for you. Anthony Anaka gives us the answer, 100% stellar correct. The 30 will vanish. And I love that word. I love the word vanish because I think the word vanish is so accurate. It will vanish. Vamoosh is gone. It will dissipate and disappear. You see, what people don't understand is that there are ways to invest in property. There are multiple ways. Let me tell you something, guys. There's more than 30 ways. I didn't create this resource thinking I gave it people every way. The beginning of this resource, some people don't know. At the beginning of this resource, I start this resource by saying, guys, this is not all of the ways to invest in property. This is just 30. And there's a reason why I shared these 30. And I explained the reason at the beginning of this resource. The reason I want to share that with you is because I want you guys to understand how this thing works. It doesn't work the way people make it sound. It doesn't work the way people think it sounds. It doesn't work like that. It works very, very different. But you only get to learn / understand that when you know what you're doing. Now, guys, we got a masterclass coming on soon, so I'm going to have to shoot. If you have questions as it pertains to even what we're talking about in today's show, bring them along to our masterclass that starts at 9 p.m., which is in about 23 minutes, I believe. Guys, bring your questions along to that masterclass. We will be taking questions at the end of the masterclass. Masterclass is going to be run on Zoom. All you need to do is register by going to the link impactproperties.co.uk/cashflow, or alternatively the link impactproperties.co.uk/masterclass. We're going to be getting kickstarted at 9 p.m. Me and the lovely, beautiful Mrs. ICanWin will be giving you guys value as it's best. Now, for those of you who have hit like, I appreciate you. Thank you for doing what you do. We love you guys on the channel. Let me share this with you guys. Anthony Anaka says his wife and he bought their first 3-bedroom house in Strood. Strood is in Kent, guys, in Kent in 1989. And interest rates went to 15%. And this is the funniest thing. Thank you, Anthony Anaka, for sharing this so transparently. What most people don't even realize is that was not the highest that interest rates actually went to in that period. I believe they went as high as to 16% for some people, but they went to 15% in early 90s, and their property was in negative equity for years. He said for years, ladies and gentlemen. I hope somebody was tuning in to that. This is the problem, guys. People tell you, go buy property. You can't go wrong with property. But people don't necessarily tell you some of the ways it can go wrong. And guys, like I said, if you haven't gone and watched that video, why you can't sell your house, go watch that video. That video is a very insightful video where we break down exactly why so many people cannot sell their property. I want you to grab onto that. I want you to be aware of that. All right. So first and foremost, our key resource. We always give a key resource every show. On today's show, the key resource is the masterclass. So let me share that with you really, really quickly. If you have not joined us on one of our masterclasses before, I want to encourage you to be a part of the masterclass that we are running very, very soon, right here. Okay. In a very few set of minutes. It's going to be in about 21 minutes. We're going to be running that masterclass. But this masterclass is going to help you understand exactly how you and what you should focus on in your property investing journey going forward. If you want to be a part of that masterclass, all you need to do is go to the link right here, impactproperties.co.uk/masterclass. That's impactproperties.co.uk/masterclass. Get registered as soon as possible so you can make sure you get all those emails that you need in order to get into the Zoom room. But like I said, it's impactproperties.co.uk/masterclass. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the masterclass. And as I usually say, happy investing. And remember that small keys open up big doors. I'm Samuel ICanWin. I'm signing out. I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.